everyone, and a big welcome to all of you to the third day of the Business Analysis and Product Management Conference. So, have you ever done something as BA or project coordinator that was intended to improve the project and you instead got into a worse situation? So this will be the topic of today, and I'm here to introduce you Iuliia Kondratiuk that will tell us about the anti-patterns for BA and project coordinators that she experienced as a lead BA from Ukraine. What about me? My name is Annalisa Tella from Italy, and here I am the facilitator of the session. So let me provide you some info on how this event will work for the ones who didn't attend any previous event and might be not aware of something. So first of all, the event is going to be recorded. The recording and the presentation itself will be available on the same platform where you have registered to attend. During the session, you can post your questions into the chat and vote for the ones you like most. We will answer all of them at the end of the session, and in case we will run out of time, we will provide answers on our EPAM platform right after the speech. Last information for you is about the small competition for best questions, so we recommend to ask questions with the name on them. So now I finished, and so I pass the word to Iuliia.
Yeah, thank you very much, Annalisa, and welcome to the session. Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Well, let me probably quickly share my screen and we'll start promptly. Can you see my screen now? Annalisa, is everything okay?
Yes.
You can see my full screen. So that's great.
Presenter mode. It's
okay, perfect. So today we'll talk about the main anti-patterns when I personally seen during my long career in IT, being BA, product manager, project manager, and even acting as a delivery manager for some projects.
Sorry, Iuliia, to interrupt, but yes, you need to put the full screen because it's in your mode.
It is in my mode. Thank you. So now, is it full screen now?
Oh, yes, now it's okay.
I'm so sorry. I have to display as usual, and sometimes it happens. Well, hope now everything is okay. So, and let's come back to our anti-patterns discussion. So, today I will be talking about what should never be done if you are expected to play multiple role in a client-driven projects. Also, I will share my experience with regards to the client's demo, multi-vendor and geo-distributed teams, and also what was the situation, how I managed this situation, and I will be really happy to hear your questions. Today we'll have bit interactive sessions. We won't have just only one Q&A session. We will have 3 of it. So after each section of the agenda, we will have some Q&A questions. So you are very welcome to ask your questions, and the most voted ones will be answered by me in a live mode. Other questions, as Annalisa said, will be answered offline as soon as I can. So the first topic is why lessons learned is better than the simple success. The second topic will be a client-driven project delivery and main myth and reality of such kind of the projects, and also how to survive when you have combined roles and you have to multitasks and you are within the multi-vendor team and heavily geo-distributed team, I would say. Also, I prepared some questions for you. You can vote for the answers, and at the end of the session, we will look into the results. In order to vote for our questions, please go to the Menticcom from your home. And for the first two sections, please use passcode which is displayed. And I would I would believe Annalisa will copy this and put into the team chat when you can ask your questions. So let's start. Well, we can skip the session introductions because I have already introduced the session. Well, each session part from my side will take about 12 to 15 minutes, and I will leave 5 to 7 minutes for your questions. So be ready with your questions. A couple of words about me, about the speaker. So my name is Iuliia Kondratiuk. So I have almost 15 years of experience in IT industry with a technical background from the beginning. So I was working with hardware and software solutions. I was working in software development in both, I would say, outsourcing and service companies and product companies as well. And I played multiple roles. First of all, as a business analyst and I worked in consulting. Also, I've dealt with product ownership, product management. I've dealt with the company strategy, R&Ds, and also used to work for worldwide IT leaders. So I have pretty, I would say, wide experience in dealing with IT business. So talking about myself, so try to run 10 kilometers every day, early in the morning, playing big tennis, driving road terrain, and adore coffee and chocolate. Well, and the key message about myself for this presentation. So finally, I think I'm really lucky person because I have never had an easygoing projects in my life. Why I'm lucky person? So I will try to cover this topic during my speech. So let's start. The first section, please use Mentimeter via menti.com and use the password displayed, and also ask your questions through the Teams. So why the lessons learned is something better than simple success. Well, one day I felt I was having the most awful public demo presentation after I would say I had a couple of dozen successful public speeches. And why now I think it was really the best demo in my professional life. Let me probably tell a story about it. Well, actually, I supposed to have quite a detailed demo of innovative products. The demo was prepared for 2 hours, and I expected to have the quite dedicated audience like customers, account managers, product managers, heads of sales, and head of business development directions. Well, I prepared very detailed demo step by step, feature by feature to encourage them to use the product because in our mind, the product is very convenient for certain type of companies. So it can help company to simplify the operations, to forecast their sales and their orders precisely, to have a deep analysis of their financial results. And the product allowed even to predict some results of the company activity. So the product itself was great. The audience I expected to have should be excited of the new product, new feature, and well, I expected the wow effect after the presentation. What I did before the presentation, I have briefly asked my marketing department about the target audience to be sure that I have that audience which the demo was prepared for. They have confirmed me easily that indeed I will have the right audience, the not very wide audience, and I can freely speak for 2 hours. I can do interactive demo. I can collect their questions and answers, and so we all expected for the great success for the demo. But what I realized when I started speaking, so reality-wise, actually target audience in my definition and target audience in a definition of event organizers was really different. when I came to the room for the presentation, I saw like 70 people sitting there. It was the people from different departments with different roles and with different responsibilities, starting from like administrative assistants till the top managers. There was representatives of financial department, IT department, sales department, financial department, whatsoever. So absolutely different audience. And of course, every role, every department has their different their different targets, different KPIs, different goals. So that how to attract all the audience to listen the demo, how to be, I would say, keen and precise, and how to meet actually the goals of the audience and how to bring the value of the presentation. This was the most challenging question for me at the time. And well, I need to change the structure of my presentation on the fly. When I started the demo, the start was not very successful because I had different types of questions for the beginning. I felt that different roles have different targets. So salespeople wants naturally to have the most functional product for them in order to simplify their life and increase their sales. Financial people, of course, wants to save some money for the company. Technical people wants to unify the system to simplify their life and make the user experience more holistic and seamless. And top management, of course, want to grow the company presence and the revenue and profitability. Well, what I did then I just switched from the demo mode to the presentation mode and tried to split my presentation to several blocks. One block for financial people, one block for technical people, and one block for sales and the managerial people. And also I have invited the co-speaker to help me answer the questions of different audience. But anyway, my experience was really bad. That was awful presentation for 2 hours. We haven't stopped the presentation, but well, that was tough. This is my real experience and lessons learned from this experience. First of all, when you prepare the public demo especially, or you prepare the demo for the wide audience, what should be done in this case? So first of all, you have to understand the conference organizer's value and align it with yours. Because, well, the target audience in my understanding is the product managers or account managers, but for event organizers, the more people, the better. That's it. This is the first deviation. This is the first key point which shall be understood when you prepare the public demo. Secondly, well, don't hesitate to ask event managers to invite target audience and limit quantity of attendees gently. This can be applicable even if you do the demo for your client. If you want to have the successful client demo, please ensure you have the right audience to listen this demo, to look at the demo first. Assess your audience type and just try to try walking in the client's shoes. What it means, just try to estimate what the audience, what this audience wants to hear from you. What is the value for their audience? If you prepare the demo for top management, you should be focused on their value. If you prepare the demo for IT people, you have to be focused on their value. Even if you deal with the project stakeholders and prepare the demo for the project stakeholders, please understand their values and their goal in order to put right accents in your demo to right functionalities and right features. Well, and always be ready to either change or at least a bit adjust your content on the fly if something go wrong. For example, the chair stakeholders or main stakeholders is not able to visit your demo, but instead of him, there will be a deputy who is dealing, for example, not for a business mainly, but for financial aspects whatsoever. Well, that's it for the first part of my session. Well, and now you're welcome to go to Menti to answer my questions. Let me probably look at your answers now, and you're welcome to go to the Teams chat to ask me questions. So what I can see, so the best advice is to adjust your content on the fly. This is exactly what I did. So be frank, it was just it brought me partial success. So at least the demo was not failed, but it's not enough. Again, I'm just basing on my experience. Stop session, make some break and adjust your content. So I would agree with it. And well, I do agree with the first point. So you should never stop the session and cancel it. This is really bad experience. Do what you can do in order to save your demo and turn it to a successful one. Okay, so now it's time for Q&A. Annalisa, can you please help me to?
Yes, like before, you must be in presenting mode, please.
Yeah, now I'm in. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, do we have any questions? Because I cannot see. And do you see any questions?
Not for now. We can go ahead and wait for questions.
Okay. So would you probably bring some questions from you, Annalisa, just to start the discussion?
Well, if you ask to me why about what you said, I think that
probably if you have any questions, probably let's start from your questions.
Yes, the most important thing I think it's about confidence. How you think it's the better way you feel you gain confidence when in order to ensure that your demo will match the audience expectation.
Well, here, first of all, I would recommend quite simple approach, like we all studied from the book and we all have from our VA practice. So try to deal with your audience like you deal with the stakeholders management. Prepare kind of audience metrics, which metrics which is quite similar with the stakeholder metrics. Try to classify your audience. Try to answer one question for one type of audience. What is the main goal? What is the main value for this type of your audience or for this stakeholder? And it will bring, first of all, clarity, and it will help to have a successful demo. Of course, because you will tell exactly what, or even exactly what the audience is expect to hear from you and expect to take from this demo. This is probably the most important. And based on it, just prepare your content and feel free to talk to the people. And always do not forget to ask questions. And also ask the audience to ask you some questions. It also will help you to turn your presentation or your demo into the right direction, into the topics which are the most important for this particular type of audience.
Okay, actually there is one question that is lessons can be learned both from success and failure, aren't they?
Yeah, actually lessons can be learned from both from success and from failure, but the most remarkable experience is typical learned from failure. Because, well, if you reach the success, you're just lucky person. So success, and that's it. Typically, you do not analyze your success in details. But if you failed something or you will be close to the failure, you start analyzing what was done wrong and how I can prevent this for in the future. So that I think that experience sometimes is much better than a simple success.
Okay, one other question from Irina. How can you adjust your demo if the audience is absolutely different from your expectations?
Okay, just try to understand first of all what kind of audience do you have, and this is not a simple way to adjust your demo on the fly, but at least having like predefined demo content or predefined screens and functionality, try to focus on that value which is the most important for your audience. For example, if you have a technical team instead of the management team, just try to focus on technical aspects, try to focus at least, so like the simplest example, try to focus on the ease of use of this product, try to focus on the simplicity of deployment of the product or implementation of the product. Try to focus on some aspects of related to the service of the products, because each product has very regular cycle of updates. Please try to cover these areas probably in more details, and cover like areas related to the business people in less details. But anyway, just try to cover it, because typically the people just taking notes and spreading the notes across organizations. So in this case, your demo should, your information should be um, related to the technical people, but the business information has not been removed anyway, because as I said, the information about your demo will be shared across the organization, and multiple questions from different type of people can pop up after it.
Actually, we have another interesting question. So how do you find out your audience values and goals, especially in case you didn't expect some of those people to be present? If you don't know their goals, do you just talk to the people?
Yeah, absolutely. I try to ask some simple questions. If I feel that some audience is not that I expected initially, I try to understand what type of audience I have or what types of audience I have. I try to ask simple questions at the beginning of the demo or public presentation to really understand the my audience. And also, well, now we use Mentimeter, so I didn't put the questions about your roles, I think, by purpose, because well, I prepared this presentation for quite wide audience. But typically, if you want to test your audience, prepare a simple question for the beginning. What is your role? And it will help you understand what type of audience you have, what types of audience you have, and you can ask several simple questions to the audience to understand the exact goals and values of each type.
Okay, if I can just last question, because I agree with it. It's important. If you realize the audience is different by their roles and values, how would you restructure your speech to keep the interest of all attendees? I mean, on the fly, because very often you prepare some backup slides in order to be prepared, no, in case you got some questions. So I suppose that you can manage on the fly also, no, to show some of those slides, or maybe to answer.
I would say not only slides, but kind of backup speakers as well. So if you see you have a lot of technical people in the room, so I typically, or if you expect there might be some technical people in the room, like CIOs, who are very focused on the technology aspect, and that's it. Other aspects are not interested in for them. So I typically try to invite kind of co-speaker with me who can cover some areas in details which I cannot cover in details. For example, deep technical details, or some kind of developments aspects and whatsoever, infrastructure aspects. This is also an option, depends on audience, but first of all, just try to understand what type of audience you have. So you may have kind of backup slides. You may have also backup video prepared. If you don't know what to speak, just have kind of 5 minutes video in your pocket about your product, or kind of encouraging video to show to the audience to have some time to decide what you will do with this audience. So the three main aspects: backup slides, backup video, and co-speakers.
Iuliia, this other question is important, I think. How did story end? Did this company become your customer? Because it's important to understand how to measure the success of the demo. Maybe, yes, you gain one more customer. Maybe you have other kind of measurement. What do you think?
Yeah, actually, if you are if to speak about the wide audience of potential clients, so there will be several measurements measures. First one is the quantity of questions and requests to you during the demo and after the demo. Quantity of the one-to-one meetings, for example, because when I was talking about my tough experience with the public demo, why I said that it was a kind of success finally, not a full success, but anyway, this was, I would say, rather successful. We got a lot of one-to-one meetings requests from the audience which we had. So this is certain measure of success because the potential clients want to hear more about the product, more about the functionality, and they want their questions to be answered. So it means they have certain questions to you and to your product. It's also good because it's interest. Of course, I would measure if it's existing customer, I would measure the demo success if customer will request kind of additional functionality or functionality enhancement. It means that the customer trusts you and the customer wants to order more services, more products, more feature from you, your company, so that the demo was successful. Unsuccessful demo is when there is no questions, there is no buzz either during the demo or after the demo. If you don't have many questions during the demo, so probably people need some time to think about what they've seen, to formulate their questions, to understand how they want to communicate with you and your company afterwards. So the general success of the demo can be measured like activities during your demo and activities after your demo. So activity, this is also, I would say, good measurements. So everything was good. So audience wasn't sleeping during your speech.
Yes.
Yeah, of course, it can be measured in the financial terms, but well, it really depends on the product, project, audience, market, whatsoever. So if you wanted me to say like you have to receive like 500K revenue after your demo, that's wrong. In a month, for example, that's absolutely wrong measurement.
Okay, Iuliia, now I believe it's time to pass to the second part of your speech. We have additional questions. We will see if we have time at the end of the speech. Please go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So a client-driven project delivery, myths and realities. Well, some people see that client-driven delivery, it's like we have to do something, but we don't carry out the responsibility. This is wrong. Let me tell again my real story, what I had probably a couple of years ago. So first of all, I've been invited to the new project. This was quite advanced project, and I was really excited over the project, which I have been offered for. This was exactly what I was dreaming for a while, I would say. And well, I've been invited to interview the client of my dream, of course. Well, and I expected to have like to do some miracle and to have, of course, positive decision of the client. Well, when I was invited to the interview, so there were several stakeholders from the clients. All of them had managerial titles, so it was like very. I was very pleased to talk to that people. They spent roughly, I would say, 30 to 40 minutes to introduce the project for me, to excite me to talk to them, and again, so it was fantastic for me. And of course, I was trying to present myself from the best perspective. I tried to, I would say, list all my skills, all my experience, all my capabilities, mention that I can multitask, I can do a couple of jobs in parallel. And of course, they have confirmed my candidacy very quickly. But what was happened then? Well, I realized that yeah, I have to play first of all multiple roles for the project, and I wouldn't say it's very difficult for me because I would say, quite broad experience. What was difficult is that, well, we have 24 hours in the day, and typically we have 8 working hours. The uh, types of the types of some responsibilities were connected to bit routine or bit work with the documentation or with the time which with the task which requires some concentration and whatsoever. So, and the project of my dream very quickly start to look as a project of my disaster. This is the story. Well, the story is very, very short. The lessons learned. So always try to apply your skills and expertise presented to client to a potential workload offered. So if you are really excited of the project, if you really want to work for the project, actually the project is really interesting. Well, but try to estimate your potential workload when you present your skills and your experience. Otherwise, it may become a nightmare to proceed with all the tasks which happy client gives to you. Because from the client aspect, so they think they just got a brilliant person who can actually work for like 3 or 4 roles. But if you agree with it, so client typically won't mind. And yeah, mind your steps while doing your self presentation and try to avoid personal commitments during the interview. So luckily I didn't do any personal commitments, so that it was relatively easy for me to balance my work-life balance. I would say balance my tasks, prioritize my tasks, and to present clients, well, that areas of my competency versus their tasks where I will be the most, I would say, convenient for them. And for the other tasks, we have finally distributed the tasks to another people. Well, and the going on with the client project driven delivery. So the second probably aspects and main myth of the client driven project delivery, it's a shared project responsibility with client while you don't have an authority to decide. Well, actually, I've been working for such project for a while, so it's a client driven delivery. And when at the beginning, when I started telling the client, so you're at risk, so the client was just smiling and asked me, who are at the risk? I said him, you're at risk. But finally, so when the risks started to be a reality, so it was a kind of shared risks. Because, well, sometimes client which is an enterprise company, global company. The company has very experienced people, very nice people, but people are experienced it's mainly in the company business, but they are less experienced, for example, in the software delivery management, in the business analysis, in the project management and what's on. So that the people can oversee the situation from their point of view, having very extensive experience in their businesses, but they can lose very important aspects of the software development life cycles, and of course the potential risks related to this process with regards to the process itself, dependencies, correctly prepared business requirements, validation, and I would say risks related to the environment, systems whatsoever. Typically, this is very hard to understand for people who are not dealing with the software development in a daily basis. So, and when the people just start telling you that I am responsible for the project and all risks are mine, be ready. So at the end of the days, I would say the major portion of the risks will be yours. Well, how to prevent this? So first of all, consult your client, start gently consult your client, start be kind of an advisor for your client. Don't tell the client you do everything wrong, because, well, this is impolite, and typically the client has certain experience in his business and within his company, so that start giving him own example from your experience, from experience of your company. Try to prepare some kind of best practices, use cases. Try to prove that there are some strong points of the development, there are some weak points, there are some risks. Try to show the risks in very polite manner, just comparing the current situation in the project, the future with the well-known cases of other companies. If, for example, it's difficult to consult on your own experience, try to use worldwide research agencies such as Gartner, whatsoever. Just try to make some quotations from them. And always, well, don't hesitate to use internet open sources, because still you can find enormous amount of useful information for free. Well, actually, as I said, so in a couple of months after we had a discussion with a client about risks, so it becomes, so the part of risk start to be ours. Well, how to mitigate this risks anyway. As a project team, developers, business analysts, project managers, you are all involved to the project delivery, and you all take responsibility for the project delivery quality, so that first of all you are responsible even if you are not. And having the client driven delivery, sometimes it's more difficult to deal with it, even if you have, I would say, own driven delivery, because having own driven delivery project, you are typically responsible for budget, for staffing, for timelines, for task prioritizations, and you have some authority to decide on your level. Even on a level of mid BA, you have some authority to decide and to prioritize. You can talk to your team, you can agree on the most convenient steps anyway. But having the client driven delivery, so typically client decides what to do, and this might be an issue, because well, clients not always know the risks and dependency. So sometimes, so the client driven delivery, this is something in between heaven and hell. Sometimes it's a heaven, sometimes it's a hell. So when you are said that client delivery, it's a perfect way of delivery, never believe in it. This is close to hell, I would say. And what are the lessons learned? First of all, even if you cannot influence the client, try act as an advisor for him. Try to bring as much examples from the real life as you can. Try to bring use cases, best practices. Try to involve experts from your company. Try to refer to the worldwide research agencies. And in a couple of months, you'll be kind of the trusted advisor for the client, and well, your life will be easier and the project delivery will go smoother. And the last point for this section, it's management of senior stakeholders' expectations within the project. Well, I would say quickly, it's like to drive a self-driven car moving on 200 kilometers per hour speed with no brakes. This is obviously, this is the challenge to be a consultant for the senior stakeholders for the project, to manage them, to have your share of your voice, and to be listened by them. There are many approaches how to do this. The main rule here to be gentle, to be precise, to have consistent speech, and to have good and bright best practices and examples. What the benefit? Benefit is that the top management of the company will really listen to you as a team member, as the member of the company. And of course, it will bring your own visibility to your company management. This is in the couple of words. But what the lessons I've learned from this not easy situation. So this is first of all, do proper stakeholders management from the beginning. Try to analyze carefully your stakeholders, their values, their goals, their experience, their behaviors, whatsoever important to talk to them, to be with them on the same page, and to bring them real insights from your side, and they will start listening to you, and this way you will be able to manage them. And again, if you see the hidden risk of on your project, for example, the risks are not hidden from you as an expert, but hidden from the stakeholders, being business people, always clearly explain potential risks based on the stakeholders and project value. Always provide with the clear message, and but not only with the clear message about risk, but also with the mitigation plan and realistic estimates. This is probably the most important aspect for the managerial stakeholders, not to know about the risk, but know how to mitigate the risk and what will be the cost of the risk mitigation. Having this in place, so you will be always, I would say, trustful advisor for even the senior manager of your big customer. And of course, try to be very precise when you are talking about the project timelines to the senior stakeholders, because they wouldn't go deep into details of the project if the timelines are missed. They wouldn't try to understand the real reason why the timelines are missed. They will just state the timelines are missed when you try to estimate the timelines needed to proceed with the sprint or with the release. Just have also always have some additional bypass for time for some unexpected issues which may always happen. Well, that's it for the second part of my presentation. So waiting for your questions.
Well, I suggest only one because we missed 15 minutes. So one question from Tomasz Miodak. How to communicate to the client when one of the risks listed during assessment was ignored, accepted by the client, and eventually it materialized? How to avoid sounding patronizing or pointing fingers?
Yeah, first of all, you should understand the risk type. Either it's a critical risk we have to mitigate, or we can survive with this risk, or we even can turn this risk to our success. If it is critical risk and it's being materialized, well, find the right stakeholder and stakeholders group, prepare the clear risk description, and of course prepare the risk mitigation plan. Without the risk mitigation plan, it will sounds like either blaming or like very late notice, so it will sound unprofessionally. But if you come to the stakeholders with the risk clearly positioned and the potential impact of the risks in I don't know, in time or money or whatsoever, and you come with the mitigation plan. I would recommend to have a couple of mitigation plans for them to decide which one is better. So this will be typically very well perceived of the even senior stakeholders of the project, and well, you would rather gain from this communication than lose, but be prepared very well. Any other questions?
Yes, we have one, but I suggest we go ahead with your third session.
Yeah, let's go ahead, and if you have some minutes, I will try to answer it. So, and finally, combined roles and multitasking within the multi-vendors team. This is, I would say, my favorite nightmare. Well, if you think that you're an expert in cross-culture communication, just you know everything about like Indian people, Chinese people, Russian people, whatever, American people behavior, believe me, it's not enough to effectively communicate to multi-vendors team and cross your project. Something again from my experience. So once upon a time, it appeared that I have a multi-vendors team. So some part of my team members was from the client side, so they were client's employee. Some part of my team, some part of employees were from two different vendors, which are actually compete with our company. So, and you have to manage the, and I had to manage this, I would say, multi-vendor and client team on the level of project coordinator and the intercommunicator between the different types of team, like developers and etc. sub teams. Composed from the people from different vendor and the client. Well, it was nightmare because typically, you know, the technical people from client side can easily ignore the person coming from the vendor side because, well, they have like better visibility within the company. They have some power to decide whatsoever. People from other vendors, they are fairly formal doing their job because, well, they don't have visibility enough within their company. They don't have visibility enough within the client side because the team is multi-vendor and all success is typically shared. What to do is in this case, so what I personally done, I've just tried to study the people personality, just to try to find what is important for the people, I would say, behind their standard roles, and tried to convince them through understanding of their goals, of their main goals. For example, I used to have an Indian team, so they typically start earlier but have to finish also earlier. And well, I just tried to learn something about the team members. So for example, for some team members, it's important to finish timely just to take their kids from kindergartens or school. Some of them can start later and finish later. So first of all, I tried to adjust my schedule and try to follow their schedule to the degree I can do that, of course, taking into account my personal needs and preferences. Also, I try to talk to them about their lives, about their business, about their experience and expertise. Just try to listen to them. So I just try to find like semi-formal common language with them, and surprisingly it worked much better than like formalized relations when you always have a kind of escalation path to the project management. So escalation paths worked less efficient than like real communication with the people. With help of understanding their goals, their preference, their lifestyle. And well, and if I ask them to help me for some daily jobs, last months I was not refused at all. So it means this practice is quite successful. So lessons learned: know your counterparts, know your interlocutors, respect their schedules, respect their habits and lifestyle. Have a personalized approach, at least to the key team members whom you need to have a support from. Not, I would say, not every vendor, but every member, but at least every key member who you would ask for support from, at least potentially. And this is the kind of strategy of survival in the multinational and multi-vendors team. Try to find an individual approach to the key member. Otherwise, any other approaches do not work properly, because, well, many companies, many stakeholders, and sometimes not only one manager or escalation path available. Well, and probably the last quick topic. Well, sometimes we face the teams who say, like, we can repair anything, but please knock hard on the door. The bell doesn't work. This is typically happen when you are entering into the existing project with lack of requirements and lack of structure. So this is like a door without the bell, but with the team which can really potentially do everything. In this case, when you don't have requirements in place and you are not from the beginning of the project, it's top important to establish really trustful and good collaboration between the team members, between different type of the team members, like have a constant dialogue with your developers, have constant dialogue with your designers, have constant dialogue with your delivery manager, in order to be sure that if there is a lack of some information, you can quickly and easily gain it from the team members. And this really helps to turn the project to the better, even if you don't have, I would say, requirements in place, and everything is going to be then done based on some records or personal knowledge of the team stakeholders. And of course, the right skill set of your team and team collaboration matters, because, well, I think that's it from my side, because we are a bit run out of time. Let's have the last portion of Q&As. Q&A. I will try to answer as much as I can. And if you have some questions remaining, I'll try to answer it offline. Annalisa?
Okay, so for the previous session, we had one most voted question that was on the demo, the first part of your speech. So any other anti-patterns besides canceling the demo? Is anything else you can suggest here?
Well, actually, I didn't suggest to cancel the demo. Probably this is the worst scenario, and nobody voted for it. Well, there will be many anti-patterns here. So what is the most common? I don't know. So the most common, it's probably different type of audience. There may be various technical problems appear during your demo. So in this case, just try to speak without the visuals, but this is not the best way. Actually, in case you have serious technical difficulties, demo in future or product, sometimes it's better to really stop the demo. What else? Well,
okay. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. So if you finished, okay.
Yeah, I finished. I'm just displaying the word for the puzzle. Please take a look at this and use it to complete your puzzle. Yeah, hope that's fine. This is viability. And, well, thank you very much.
We have one more question, if we have time.
If you have time.
So one other question was about from Irina. what to do if you communicate with a person on the client side who is not a decision maker. How to influence technical advice the client in this case? Do we have any?
Yeah, actually, very often it's good to communicate to the person who is not the direct decision maker. Typically, this person is a subject matter expert. So this is a unique opportunity to you to gain as much information about the client as it is possible. You can gain various types of the informations, requirements, the way of how the decisions are typically taken by the decision makers, how to present your idea to be approved, how to present the feature in the best way, how to validate the requirements in the most convenient and easiest way with the decision maker, because typically this person is, as I said, a subject matter expert and experienced employee of the company, and the person can give you really brilliant advice on how to proceed with the stuff you want to get approved from the decision makers. If you don't have an access to the decision makers, but you really need to have it, so you can talk to this person as well, just showing the person the situation you have, explaining that kind of approval or required from the person who has an authority to take a decision, and ask the person what is the best way to reach the person out and get the proper response.
Okay, now we have last question. Really, didn't competing vendor try to show your client that they are better? So it's about competitive environment.
I'm not sure I've got the question. Can you please repeat?
Question is about a situation where you were in competition with another supplier. So didn't competing vendor try to show your client that they are better than us? So.
Yes, they do. Indeed. Well, that's why this is the complexity of multi-vendor environment, but I didn't talk about it in details because, well, this is the topic for 1 hour, I would believe. Well, indeed, and that's obviously when you are working in competitive environments, so the other vendor employees want to show them in the best side and want to actually, show you in the, I would say, in the less in the worst side. So in this case, first of all, you have to communicate to the project stakeholder from the client side, presenting your deliverables and your team deliverables. Clearly mention what team do, what kind of team do what are their achievements, what are their challenges, what are the potential risks. By the way, in this case, it's very important to communicate potential risk in a prompt manner, just to show it and not allow to put all the problems to your shoulders. And well, in this case, so the most important, it's proper communication to your clients, deliver the visibility of your team deliverables, and show potential risks and potential dependencies to the client in timely manner, not to give a room for your competitor to blame on you. And never blame to your competitor, because for client, you are equal, you and your competitor. If you start blaming to your competitor, so immediately there will be a negative impression from the client side. So client starts think that you would like to get rid of your competitor and to take your people which are more expensive or less skilled whatsoever. Just try to show your advantages, but do not show the disadvantages of your competitor. Try to do that way, the client will see it himself.
Okay, Iuliia, thanks very much. Thank you very much. But especially thanks to the audience. Thanks everyone really for active participation. And I posted into the chat the link where we can continue on the discussion, and we will answer also the unanswered questions. And please don't forget also to vote for the presentation. So thank you again, and thanks to Iuliia. Thanks also
Thank
to
you.
you.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
You too.
Thank you.